Okay, well, let's get this baby off the ground, huh? Yeah, I know. Hi, friends. Doc South here, and it's the day before Christmas. I'm up fairly early because I got to go work at the supermarket today. I I just want to count my fingers and make sure I've got all 10. Five on that hand. Five. Okay, I think we'll be all right. Uh Boy, but it's yeah, as long as I got 10 when I walk out of the place, it's going to be I think it's going to be very busy. Last minute, yeah. Last minute stuff. They got to get that cheddar and the whipped cream in the spray cans, right? Okay. Well, here I've got a Christmas blurb for you, and this is from that book I wrote, Aunt Barb's Magic Oven. I don't know. Can you see it? Yeah, there you go. Aunt Barb's Magic Oven. Um, it's a pretty crazy story. This is one of the saner parts of it, and I think you'll like it. It's it's basic. Well, I'll just read the chapter, and you can go from there. It's all about all this. A lot of this story, besides taking place in outer space and stuff, also takes place in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and a very old town in northwestern Pensy. Uh, at one time, quite a factory town. Yeah, okay. And I loved it. Always loved going there to visit the relatives. And this is a case. This is happening on. In this, Grandma and I are heading over to my Aunt Barb's house to get started on what would promise to be a very wild Thanksgiving. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is Aunt Barb's Magic Oven, the 50-cent Christmas gifts. After we crossed the tracks, I had to gun the motor as Grandma and I started up the big steep hill out of town. The Newcastle Power Company complex was on our right. I always enjoyed seeing all the transformers and wire towers in their side yard. You could look down into the yard as if you were a bird looking for a spot to land. You're up that high, yeah. It looked like a place where working with wet hands would not be a good idea. I was really glad to see the big old electric neon sign of Ready Kilowatts still standing on the side of the power company building. Ready was a man built out of, you've probably seen him, built out of lightning bolts. I think his head was a glowing light bulb. He held in his fist he had a fistful of white lightning bolts in each hand. At night, at night he'd glow red and flick on and off. I seem to remember that he'd wave to all of us who were lucky enough to pass below his watchful eye. Somehow they worked it, yeah, where it looked like he was waving his lightning bolts at you. Uh, his job was to cheer people up, and he did his job well. We passed Ready, and in the rearview mirror, I could overlook the city below. Again, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. We were up pretty high now, and I could see the old Johnson Bronze Company complex stretching from the southeast side of town to as far as the eye could see. It had to take up a few square miles. Smokestacks were everywhere. Yeah, my kind of place. You could tell that there were once jobs in that plant that took some skill and were very dangerous if you goofed up. There were a lot of huge red brick buildings on the site, and they looked to be very old. They had lots of windows that you could open up to cool things off a bit on a hot day. Air conditioning was only a pipe dream back then when those buildings were built. There were buildings with long, wide roof vents that must have allowed untold heat and vapors to escape. Rail lines went between many of the buildings too. In short, it looked like it must have been a great place to work if you liked working hard. Yeah, I think I think they made bronze bushings and fittings there. The plant in Newcastle supplied the world. My Uncle Bill, worked there as a tool and die maker, but that was a long while ago now. I asked Grandma if the plant ever reopened. She said no. The whole place was empty now except for a handful of maintenance workers. Sometimes a section of a building would be rented to be a temporary warehouse. Other than that, the place was dead and the jobs went elsewhere. It just about killed the city when that happened. The plant went out of view as we made our way, as I made my left turn onto southbound Route 422. Barb and Bill Street would be coming up soon on the left. I asked Grandma if she remembered how Christmas changed when the Bronze shut down and many in the family lost work. She smiled and said that she sure did remember. She said how they all got together. Here, wait a minute, I've got to turn a page here. Got together for a meeting and decided that Christmas had to be heavily budgeted until things got better. They decided that even with a budget, the gifts still had to be great, top notch, and very well thought out. I remembered out loud that what they did was to put everyone's name into a hat twice. In other words, there were 2 slips of paper with your name on it, with a given name on it, placed into the hat. Then everyone each took turns pulling out 2 slips of paper. If you got your name, you put that slip back and into the hat and try it again. This eventually gave every family member, and there's probably about 15 of them, give or take, each family member 2 people that they had to get gifts for. This was the kicker. The gift could cost no more than 50 cents. Yep, no other gift giving was allowed. The trick actually turned out to be a great idea. That budget made you really think and search and resulted in some fantastic gifts, the greatest gifts ever given. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think Uncle Bill once one Christmas morning, got a chilled bottle of Iron City beer and a homemade bologna sandwich for Christmas morning. It was something he'd always wanted for Christmas. You'd have to know Uncle Bill. What a guy. Okay. What he wanted for Christmas morning. It was something he'd always wanted. Aunt Barb might have gotten a pot holder with fried chicken parts embroidered into it. Maybe one of the kids would get a stack of old used Superman comics found at a late autumn garage sale. Grandma would have been 50 cents, sure. Grandma said that's how she got that calendar of hers on the kitchen wall. It was a very old calendar, and when it's indeed from St. Mary's Church across the street from her home. One of the kids must have found it in a garage sale and thought the picture was pretty. Being grandma, she didn't care that most of the time the numbers of the day wouldn't line up with the day of the week. It had a pretty picture of it, though, of Jesus in a garden, with Jesus in a garden, and a family member gave it to her for Christmas. That was good enough for Grandma, and on the wall it went. It wasn't that big a calendar anyhow. She could always get a bigger, more current calendar anytime around New Year's from McGonagall's funeral home that was next door to Grandma. But that little calendar was a treasure and hung on the wall year in and year out. Grandma marked the important days onto her new calendar, onto her new Christmas present, rather. Birthdays were the first to go on. In the tiny square, she drew a little birthday cake, and then she put the birthday boy or girl's name where the icing would be. One date had a tear and a smile on it. That was the day. That was to mark the day when her Frank passed away, her husband. Other days were marked there too. The day my folks got married, the day each grandchild was born. You get the idea. She said that was one of her favorite gifts, and that she prayed to it every day. Then one day, well, it became more than a calendar. If you'd have to read the book to find out more. I turned on to Barb and Bill Street. The house was the last place on the left. If you went beyond their house, you'd plow into a big graveyard and miss all the fun. Anyway, there you go. 50-cent Christmas gift. I remember that happening when I was a kid. We had to pick. We lived in New Jersey, and we actually had to pick names and send 50-cent gifts too. And then we got 50-cent gifts, which actually. They were pretty cool. I think I got some really cool, I got a nice collection of water pistols, if I recall right. Yeah, there was one wonderful Christmas, and like that, it was pretty cool, pretty cool. It's a good idea. Yeah, kind of put the limit on it and bring up the creativity. People really actually did way more thinking on the presents when they had to really be careful with the money. It was kind of cool. Anyway, Merry Christmas tomorrow. I hope to do a blurb or two tomorrow, for you, and well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, till we meet again. God bless. We'll see you. Bye now.